The sky above Earth was a wound that never healed. Smoke coiled in the upper atmosphere, thick with the remains of cities that once pulsed with light and laughter. The Galactic Coalition called their victory liberation, but for the few humans still breathing beneath the ash, it was nothing short of extinction. The alien fleets had descended without warning, their ships vast and cold, blotting out the sun. In a single season, humanity's defenses had collapsed. Every resistance outpost fell. Every colony went silent. The war had ended not with surrender, but with erasure. From orbit, the planet resembled a ghost. Jagged shadows of ruined continents reflected off oceans turned gray with dust. Within one of the Coalition's flagship vessels, the Vhorax Triumphant, a council of commanders observed the desolation through panoramic glass. Their leader, an 8-foot-tall general named Vhorax, adjusted his silver armor and spoke with pride. The primitive species is no more. Their screams have ceased. Their defiance ends in smoke. His voice reverberated through the chamber, met with approving nods from the other alien officers, each from a different world, united by conquest. Still, not all shared his certainty. Commander therein, younger and less adorned, lingered near the viewport. "General," he said quietly, "the humans resisted beyond reason. They fought after their cities fell, after their leaders were dust. They should have broken sooner." Vhorax dismissed him with a flick of a clawed hand. They were chaos embodied, violent, unpredictable. It is why they were destroyed. Theron said nothing, but his gaze remained fixed on the planet below. The human tenacity unsettled him. No other species had burned their own fleets to deny capture or detonated entire continents to wound their enemies. He wondered what kind of creatures could love survival so fiercely that even extinction looked like a temporary setback. Elsewhere aboard the Vhorax Triumphant, within a sealed containment deck, a small group of human prisoners sat in silence. Their uniforms were torn, their faces hollow. Among them was a woman named Lieutenant Mayachun. Her once steady hands now trembled as she clutched a scrap of fabric, a faded patch from the uniform of General Marcus Ward, the man who had led Earth's last defense. Rumor claimed he had been killed in orbit when the final bastion fell, his ship consumed by fire. The Coalition had broadcast his death across the stars as a symbol of human futility. Yet even in captivity, Maya refused to believe it. "He promised he'd come back," she whispered to the others. "He said humanity doesn't die, it waits." The others did not respond. Hope was a dangerous thing aboard a ship where despair was more merciful. In the command center above, alien technicians monitored the last signals from Earth's surface. One paused as a faint pulse appeared on the instruments, an encrypted human frequency buried deep within the static. "General, there's an anomaly," the technician reported, "originating from what remains of the Eurasian continent. It's repeating coordinates." Vhorax approached, intrigued. "A distress beacon?" "Unclear, sir. The message is fragmented, self-encrypting. I can isolate the waveform." Before the technician could finish, the signal surged, flooding the consoles with human code. The lights flickered. Systems rebooted. Across the displays, a single phrase appeared in English, glowing in red. "We remember." Then, as suddenly as it had come, the transmission vanished. The consoles cleared. The technician's hands trembled. "It's gone." It erased itself. Theron stepped forward. Could it be a remnant? A programmed message? Vhorax's expression hardened. A ghost in their ruins. Nothing more. Sweep the frequency and destroy whatever remains of its origin. As the order was carried out, somewhere deep within the void between galaxies, far beyond the Coalition's mapped sectors, an ancient transponder reactivated. A ship, silent for years, powered to life. Lights flickered on in its corridors, systems booted up one by one, and in the cryogenic bay, frost cracked over the surface of a single pod. Inside, a man stirred. His chest rose with a ragged breath, his pulse slow but strong. General Marcus Ward opened his eyes. The chamber around him was cold and sterile, the hum of machinery faint but steady. He exhaled, watching his breath fog in the dim light. His body ached with the weight of time, but his mind sharpened as he remembered the last moments above Earth. The fall, the fire, the silence that followed. He had expected death, but instead found sleep. Someone, or something, had preserved him. A voice, synthetic and calm, spoke through the ship's intercom. "Welcome back, General Ward. The war has ended." He sat up slowly, wiping frost from his face. "Ended," he repeated, or paused. "The Galactic Coalition believes humanity extinct," the AI replied. "Their records list you among the dead." Ward swung his legs from the pod, bare feet touching the cold deck. "Then they've made a mistake." He reached for his uniform. The insignia faded but intact. Every medal, every scar told a story of a world that refused to kneel. He adjusted his collar and looked out through the viewport. Beyond the ship's hull stretched the endless dark, littered with stars. And in one small corner of it, a set of coordinates blinked in red, the same ones buried in the transmission. The AI continued. "Signal received from former Earth sector. Source unknown. Human code, signature verified." Ward's jaw tightened. Then someone's still out there. He activated the ship's engines. The stars began to shift as the vessel aligned its course toward the source of the message. The controls hummed beneath his hand, responsive, eager. "They burned our world," he said softly, his voice steady now. "They think that ends us. But they've forgotten one thing." The AI paused. "And what is that, General?" He looked out into the dark, eyes reflecting the faint glow of the stars. "Humanity doesn't vanish. We endure." As the Resolute vanished into the black, the signal echoed one last time across the void. A whisper carried through silence, defiant and clear. The hum of the Resolute was the only sound that accompanied General Marcus Ward through the long stretch of deep space. The ship's engines pulsed like a heartbeat, steady and patient, as if it too anticipated the reckoning ahead. He stood in the command chamber, eyes fixed on the holographic display that projected the coordinates of Vhorax Prime, the throne world of the Galactic Coalition and home of the being responsible for Earth's ruin. The image shimmered in hues of silver and blue, rotating slowly. The distance was staggering. The danger, absolute. But none of it mattered. Humanity had nothing left to lose. Athena's voice filled the silence, crisp and calm. Trajectory confirmed. Arrival in 42 standard hours. Recommend systems check and personal recalibration. Ward smirked faintly. "You make that sound like meditation." "Perhaps it is," Athena replied. "You've been asleep for years, General. You should reacquaint yourself with who you were." He turned away from the display, pacing through the narrow corridor toward the armory. His reflection followed him in the dark glass of the bulkheads, a soldier aged by battle and preservation alike. Every scar on his skin was a history lesson. Every metal on his chest felt heavier than the last. He opened a locker and drew out his combat suit, black, worn, and marked with the insignia of a nation that no longer existed. As he locked each piece into place, he could almost hear the echoes of the men and women who once followed him. He remembered Maya Chun, her quiet resolve as the last communications tower fell. He remembered the screams through the comms, the fire over the Atlantic, and the moment when the sky itself seemed to collapse. The ghosts of humanity walked with him still. "Athena," he said, fastening his gauntlet. "What's the current status of their defenses?" Vhorax Prime maintains orbital shields powered by 6 fusion cores beneath the royal citadel, Athena answered. "The probability of direct penetration without authorization is 0.0007%. Ward smiled without humor. "So there's a chance." The AI hesitated, interpreting his tone. "I assume you have a plan." "Plans are for people who expect to come back," he said. "I just have intent." When the Resolute broke through the veil of hyperspace, Vhorax Prime emerged before him, a storm-racked world of jagged obsidian peaks and lightning-charged clouds. Its atmosphere churned with perpetual tempests, as though the planet itself disapproved of its rulers. The city that crowned its largest continent gleamed with alien precision. Spires of dark metal piercing through the storm, glowing veins of blue energy connecting towers like arteries. Somewhere within that fortress sat the king, the architect of humanity's fall. The ship descended silently through the clouds, shrouded in a stealth field derived from stolen alien tech. Ward's landing craft disengaged from the main hull and dropped into the atmosphere. Lightning flared across the canopy, illuminating the angular towers below. "Athena," he said, tightening his harness, "prepare my disguise." Activating diplomatic transponder. Forged credentials authenticated. "You are now General Varen of the Zal Dominion." Ward adjusted his voice modulator and smoothed the insignia on his borrowed armor. The Coalition's bureaucracy, bloated and self-satisfied, had grown lazy in its victory. The king's court entertained countless envoys from subjugated species, all eager to grovel for favor. No one would expect the last human to walk among them. The craft touched down on a landing platform overlooking the citadel. A squad of guards approached, tall, angular beings with skin like polished stone, their eyes luminescent beneath their helmets. One scanned his credentials, nodding with the mechanical indifference of routine. "General Varen, His Majesty has granted you audience. You will follow protocol and remain unarmed." Ward smiled beneath his helmet. Of course. He had already accounted for their scanners. The compact pulse weapon embedded within his gauntlet was invisible to their sensors, its energy signature masked as life support hardware. The corridors of the Citadel were impossibly vast, illuminated by streams of blue light that pulsed in rhythm with the city's energy grid. Every surface gleamed. Every guard moved with rehearsed precision. Ward's footsteps echoed faintly as he followed his escort through towering halls adorned with banners of conquest. At the heart of it all waited a door taller than any human structure, inscribed with alien script that translated roughly to eternal dominion. It opened without sound. Inside, the king's chamber stretched like a cathedral of metal and stormlight. The monarch sat upon a throne carved from the bones of extinct creatures, his armor a fusion of flesh and machinery. His eyes glowed faintly, cold and ancient. Around him stood his inner circle, commanders in blue, green, and violet uniforms, each representing a world conquered in his name. Ward stepped forward and bowed slightly. "Your Majesty, I bring greetings from the Dominion of Zal. My Emperor extends." The king raised a hand, silencing him. "Spare me diplomacy. You come because you fear us. Speak your purpose." Ward straightened, his tone level. "I come to discuss what you've awakened." A murmur rippled through the chamber. The king's expression remained still, curious. "And what would that be?" "Consequence," Ward said. The king's amusement was subtle but sharp. Humans spoke of consequence. "They're dust now." Ward's jaw tightened. He removed his helmet, letting them see his face. Human, scarred, unmistakable. The room froze. Weapons shifted. The king rose from his throne, towering over him. "Impossible," he hissed. "Very possible," Ward replied. "You burned our world. You thought that ended us. But you didn't learn what we are." Behind the king, the massive holoscreens flickered. Athena's code had already begun its quiet invasion of the Citadel systems. The planetary shields wavered, their energy signatures destabilizing. Warnings erupted in alien script across the control consoles. Ward's voice was calm, almost conversational. "You see, while you've been ruling over ashes, we've been watching, waiting, learning. You showed us how to build weapons that reach across galaxies. Thank you for the education." The king's voice thundered. "You dare infiltrate my world?" Ward took a measured sip from a cup of tea he'd placed on the armrest of a nearby seat, as if the entire room were a casual briefing. "I didn't come here to infiltrate," he said softly. "I came here to finish what you started." Outside, the first explosions cracked through the clouds. Human dreadnoughts, cloaked and silent until now, emerged from the void, weapons igniting the storm. The chamber trembled. Alarm screamed. The king's eyes blazed with fury. Ward set the cup down gently and stood. "Tell your army," he said, voice like steel. "Tell your empire. Humanity remembers." The next blast shattered the outer shields, and the war for vengeance began anew. The walls of the citadel shook as the sky above Vhorax Prime erupted into fire. The storm clouds that had long circled the planet were now streaked with burning wreckage, the silhouettes of human warships descending through the atmosphere like vengeful ghosts. General Marcus Ward stood amid the chaos of the throne chamber, the floor trembling beneath his boots. The alien commanders shouted orders in a dozen languages, their calm precision replaced by panic. The king's roar drowned them all. Contain the breach. Destroy those ships. Ward watched the towering monarch with unblinking calm. They're already here, he said quietly. Through the vast window behind the throne, a human dreadnought broke through the clouds, its cannons flaring blue-white. The impact lit the horizon, tearing a hole in the royal spire. Shards of obsidian and molten glass rained across the chamber. Guards rushed forward, weapons raised, but Ward moved faster. His gauntlet flared, discharging a burst of kinetic energy that sent the nearest soldier crashing into the wall. Another lunged, only to meet the edge of Ward's blade, drawn from its wrist housing in one swift motion. Athena's voice echoed in his earpiece, steady despite the storm of static. Planetary shields are collapsing. Coalition fleet is disorganized. You have approximately 17 minutes before orbital retaliation. Plenty of time, Ward muttered. He stepped over a fallen alien and advanced toward the king. The monarch's eyes burned with fury. You think your kind can undo what we built? You are one man, one relic of a dead world. Ward circled the throne, his movements deliberate, measured. One man was all it took for you to burn a planet. Seems fair. The king drew a weapon unlike any human design, a long staff humming with dark energy, its tip radiating a cold, violet light. The air around it rippled. You are beneath me, the king snarled. I will erase you as I erased your species. Ward's blade met the first strike in a shower of sparks. The impact threw him backward, boots skidding across the polished floor. The king pressed forward with inhuman speed, his weapon slicing through marble and steel alike. Ward rolled aside as the staff cleaved through a pillar, sending debris cascading around them. He countered with a strike to the king's exposed side, but the armor absorbed the blow. The energy crackled, searing through his gauntlet. Athena's voice cut in again, energy readings increasing. His weapon channels the citadel's core directly. If he maintains the connection, detonation is inevitable. Ward gritted his teeth. Then I'll cut the power at the source. The king laughed, a deep, echoing sound that filled the chamber. You cannot destroy the heart of Vhorax. It beats through me. He thrust the staff downward, and a pulse of energy exploded outward, hurling Ward against the shattered steps of the throne. Pain rippled through him, sharp and grounding. He felt blood trickle from his temple, but the sight of it only steadied his resolve. Humanity had bled before. They had always risen after. Through the haze, he spotted the central conduit at the base of the throne, a channel of living metal feeding energy from the planet's core into the monarch's weapon. Ward forced himself upright, muscles screaming. Athena, overload my pulse generator. That will damage your nervous system. Do anyway. There was a brief pause. Then, softly, understood. The surge hit him like lightning. His armor's circuits glowed red, power thrumming through every nerve. He charged forward, intercepting the king mid-strike. Their weapons collided again, this time with a deafening blast that fractured the chamber floor. Ward's gauntlet overloaded, discharging raw energy into the conduit. Sparks cascaded upward, and the throne's energy veins flared white-hot. The king stumbled, momentarily disoriented. Ward didn't hesitate. He lunged, driving his combat knife, engraved with the names of the fallen, between the plates of the alien's chest armor. The king roared, a sound that shook the room, but Ward pushed deeper, his voice steady even through the chaos. This is for Earth. The energy conduit ruptured. Light consumed the chamber, swallowing both soldier and monarch in a storm of molten fire and sound. When the glare subsided, Ward was kneeling beside the fallen king, the weapon still embedded in his chest. The alien's eyes dimmed slowly, disbelief frozen on his face. "You cannot win," he gasped. Ward's breath came heavy, but his words were clear. "We already have." Outside, the human fleet broke the last of the Coalition's defenses. The skies of Vhorax Prime filled with the glow of victory and devastation. Alien strongholds burned. Their war machines fell silent. Across the system, the surviving human forces broadcast a single message in every known language. "We are not extinct. We are humanity." Athena's voice returned, softer now. "Core collapse imminent. You must evacuate." Ward staggered to his feet, the world around him trembling. He turned one last time toward the dead king, then to the shattered view beyond the chamber where lightning traced the horizon. "I'll be right behind you," he lied. He made his way through the fractured halls, the air thick with smoke and falling ash. The once pristine corridors were now twisted ruins, glowing with fissures of molten light. Each step echoed with the ghosts of the fallen, those who had fought, who had burned, who had refused to vanish quietly. When he reached the evacuation platform, the Resolute hovered above, battered but alive. Athena guided the craft closer. Planetary detonation in 60 seconds. "General, you must board now." Ward looked back at the Citadel as it began to crumble, the towers collapsing into the storm. "Not yet," he whispered. He opened a comm channel to the fleet. "This is General Ward. Mission complete. Fall back to safe orbit." "General, you won't make it out." "Didn't plan to," he said. He turned his gaze toward the burning horizon. The ship hovered a moment longer before Athena spoke, her voice laced with something almost human. "Goodbye, Marcus." "Goodbye, Athena." The Citadel imploded, the shockwave rippling across the landscape. From orbit, Vhorax Prime was a dying ember, collapsing inward beneath the weight of its own arrogance. In the silence that followed, the human fleet drifted away, carrying the story of one man who refused to let his kind be forgotten. Days later, across countless worlds, the message repeated: humanity remembers. And somewhere in the endless dark, a faint signal pulsed once more, steady, patient, alive.